You can and must train your children. You can have your seat after that. You can have your seat. You can and must train your children. When I told Miss Donna, Sister Donna, the title of the message, she was like, "Do I need to bring my shield? Am I going to get hit with some rocks?" The title of the message is, or the word is, Message to Moms. And I think that through my course of being in Valor, I'm on the record with my youth advocate. I'm the youth director at Youth on the Move, which is a small youth outreach program. And a while back I did the Father's Day message about how fathers foretell the future. And just a brief recap for those of you who might have missed it, did the 5 P's, or the characteristics of a good father. And the first one was a protector. That goes without being said, the fathers need to be protectors. And I'm not going to go into great detail on it. And the second is he needs to be a provider. Fathers are not only providing financially, but providers of wisdom and guidance. A good father needs to be a promoter. They need to promote their children and uplift them. The next P was the father should be a priest over his household. The father should pray for his children. The last P, not least, the father should be a prophet. And when I say the father should be a prophet, he should speak life over his children, speak things into existence. Amen? So moving back to you can and must train your children's mothers. This message is geared directly towards mothers, but fathers, you can listen in. Grandmothers, you can listen in, because there might be some grandmothers who are going in for a second tour, so to speak. Their kids have kids, and they end up raising the kids. So even if you're not a father or mother, you know someone who's a mother, and you can definitely give them a word of encouragement. Amen. We're going to go to a very familiar scripture, which is Proverbs 22:6. You don't even have to go to it. It says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he should not depart from it." As I was kind of pondering and dwelling on this scripture, it says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he should not depart from it." Now, I started to kind of meditate on that word train. When you think about training is not a one-time thing. Training, when you think of an athlete who trains, they train year-round. When you think of our military men and women, their training is very intense. So the training of a child should be as intense, if not more intense. So training takes time. Training takes patience, and they're not going to get it that first time around. So you have to be consistent in your training. Amen? And we have the most important training manual in the world, which is the Bible. This is the most popular book on the planet. And it's funny, I think back to my wife and I, we had twins, and she was like giving me these books, what to expect when you're expecting, and all of these, with the hospital giving you pamphlets and DVDs and things, and I'm like, I have the Bible. I'm going to immerse myself in the Word, and that's exactly what I told her. I'm not reading what to expect, I'm not really expecting. I know how to handle kids. I know that God, people have done this before me, so it's like I have a manual in God's Word. Amen. The next thing, mothers, you must teach your children is teach your children how good behavioral and verbal manners. In today's times, we see so many kids who are just, it's astounding to see how they speak around people and how they behave around people. And, kids get labeled as good kids or bad kids. You tell when a kid is good and when a kid is bad. So this is something that, you know, no one had to tell me this back, but now in today's times, it's like, it's just ridiculous how kids act. You want to teach your children to speak with politeness. It's rare that you hear kids saying yes ma'am and no ma'am and please and thank you. Can I have this? Can I get it? Why you don't give it to me? It's rare that you see kids that have manners. So you want to teach your kids to speak with politeness. I kind of always look at my kids when I'm giving a message or delivering some advice. And I asked my daughter, Naomi, I said, Naomi, would you like, I forgot what it was, a biscuit or something? She said, no, thank you. And I'm like, that, and I try to kind of act on it, and I try to reward her for having good manners and things like that. You want to teach your children to dress appropriately. This is another thing that is kind of going by the wayside in today's times. For men and women, or boys and girls, you want to speak, you got the boys that wear their pants all down below where they should be just to show a G or a symbol on their belt. It's like, how can you have a belt on and your pants still be in an inappropriate place? Women are not exempt, or females are not exempt. They want to put certain things on display and then they're not for sale. How would you feel you went to a department store and they have all this stuff on display but you can't buy it? So you're sending mixed signals when you don't dress appropriately. Amen? This is one of my favorites. You want to teach your children to shift gears. What does it mean to shift gears? You want to teach them to be bilingual. When you're with your peers and when they're with their friends, of course it's okay to speak in certain ways and say certain things. But when you're speaking to an adult, you don't want to say, what up? What's going on? You want to address them properly. And it's important that they learn that at a young age, because once they get to a certain place, you know, like I said, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he should not depart from it. So you want to teach them when they're young how to speak. It's okay to say what's up to your friends and say what's going on and go into the different slang with your peers, but you want to teach them how to switch gears when they're talking to people in a different way. You also want to teach your children the golden rule. What's the golden rule? Let's go to Luke chapter 6 and 31. Luke 6, 31. Say your name when you get there. Yes. The golden rule, and it reads, and as you would, Luke 6:31, and as ye would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise. Treat others how you want to be treated in layman's terms. Amen. They call this the golden rule, but as you can see, it's a biblical principle. You know, teach your children to respect their elders. This is also one of those old sayings that you heard your grandmother say: respect your elders, boy, or respect your elders. This can also be found in the Bible in Leviticus 19:32. You don't have to read it. I just wanted to let you know that it's in the Word. So, in respecting your elders, like I said, today's times children have no respect for authority, period. No respect for not only their peers, but their elders. And when you're approaching and when you're speaking to older people, you should approach them in a certain way. You should give them a certain type of respect. And Leviticus 19:32, that's the Old Testament, but in the New Testament, it's also mentioned in Timothy verses 5, 1 and 2. And teaching your children respect is something that doesn't come natural. I'll use my kids for an example again. Their favorite word is no. You tell them to do something, you ask them to come here, no, no, no. And it's like, you have to take that as a teaching point. Take that moment right there when they say no. You're like, okay, look, you're a child, I'm an adult. You don't tell me no. And as you instill that in them, as you repeat that to them, they will begin to understand that, okay, this is mommy, this is daddy, this is an authority figure in my life. I can't tell them no. Let's actually go to Timothy, chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Say amen when you get there. 5, 1 and 2 says, rebuke not an elder, but entreat him as a father, and a younger man as a brother, the elder women as mothers, and youngers as sisters, with all purity. And that goes to speak to, I can recall a conversation I was having with my wife, and she said, don't people just say whatever they want to say, and they just do whatever they want to do, but you still have to have a certain respect for them. You don't want to call them out on certain things. You don't want to kind of challenge them. Even if they're wrong on a certain thing, there's a way to approach them, opposed to kind of going there with them and getting on that level as it becomes disrespect. So it says, rebuke not an elder, but entreat him as a father, and a younger man as a brother, the elder woman as a mother. So you want to treat older people like your father and mother. Amen? So let's do a brief recap. You can and must train up your children. That's the first and foremost. If you don't take anything else from the message today, know that you can and that you must train your children. You want to teach your children to have good behavioral and noble manners. You want to teach them to speak politely, say things like yes, yes ma'am, or no ma'am, and ask questions like, may I have this, instead of, let me get this, or can I get that? You want to teach them to say, please and thank you. You want to teach your children to dress appropriately. You want to teach them to present themselves with excellence when they are dealing with people who are not their peers. Teach them how to shift gears and know when it's appropriate to speak in a certain way and when it's not appropriate to use slang with certain individuals. We went over the golden rule on treat others how you want to be treated. You want to teach them to respect their elders. You want to teach your children good character. We're going to go to Genesis 21 and 18. Say amen when you get there. Genesis 21, 18. And it reads, arise, lift up the lad, and hold him in thine hand, for I will make him a great nation. So, in reading this, it says, it's clearly saying, lift up the lad. It's saying physically lift him up. And hold him in thine hand, for I will make him a great nation. So this is God speaking, and he's telling Hagar in this text to lift up, Ishmael, to lift up the child he will make him a great nation. And I want to say to you in a different sense, But you want to lift up your children, not only in a physical sense, but you want to lift them up with encouraging words. Amen? You want to help your children build character. How can you help your kids build character? You know, oftentimes mothers are so concerned and involved with the physical well-being of a child. They come home with a scratch or a bump, they know what happened. They want to make sure that they're nourished and they have, proper substance and foods, and that's fine. But mothers, you also want to help strengthen and build up the child's character. And because a child, like I said earlier, a child can be labeled as good or bad. And in today's time, psychiatrists don't like to say, oh, when you call it bad, you kind of predestined to act this way. Okay. There's some children who have good manners, and some children who are mannerless, so to speak. So you want to teach your children to have good manners. And like in biblical days, names meant something. And in today's times, I went to school with two brothers and a sister. One brother, legal real name was Godzilla. Other brother name was Casper, and the sister's name was Tinkerbell. And I didn't know their mother personally, so I don't know her reasoning or thought process behind the name, but I can just say in biblical times, names meant something. They named their child kings and queens and men of power, peace, and grace. So the same applies today as when you talk about a person's name. Like people say, I want to make a name for myself. What do people think about when they think of you? You want to instill in your child that their names mean something. The Bible says you will be rewarded on who you are, not what you have. And again, we live in a world where it's all about the Benjamin time. It's racks on racks on racks, and Versace this. It's like these are the times that we live in. But moms, you want to make sure that your children know it's about who they are, not what they have. You want to make sure that they have good character. You want to build up honesty. You want to build up kindness. We tend to live in a world where we are getting smarter yet dumber at the same time. We have so much information at our fingertips, but we don't utilize it properly. We're richer than we've ever been, but we're poor in terms of character. If you think about it, you think about your grandparents, or even your mom and dad, you earn more money than they earn, but you don't have the same values that they had. When I think about, I was speaking to my grandmother, and my grandfather passed in 2010. She was debating on whether she wanted to move back to her hometown or move to where her brothers and sisters are still here. She's like, yeah, she's going back here and going back. I'm like, what do you want to do? You should get away from this situation that you're in because it's not healthy for you. She's in a house and raising grown kids, and that's a whole nother message. But long story short, I was like, what do you want to do? She's like, I don't know. I just want to be comfortable. And her brothers were saying, oh yeah, we can get you down here with this house, and you'll be making all type of money, and this, that, and the third. And she said something that I will never forget. She said money doesn't excite her. And that kind of struck a chord. Like she didn't allow, she could move down to Atlanta or somewhere down south where cost of living would be lower. She can get a rental property and generate this extra funds. And she said money didn't excite her. And in today's time, that's totally different. So mother, we want to we want to make sure we instill character in our children. And kind of touched on, when we think about where we live and how we live, we definitely have more than our grandparents and parents as it comes to financial being. But they had more common sense than we had. They had common sense today is not very common. And myself, I've done some things that were not so intelligent and bright, but we learn from our mistakes. And they had these old sayings that I tend to steal the old sayings they had. They said, "You made your bed, now sleep." And they had all of these old sayings. And today we try to read these help books and doing this and doing that. They sum it up in one sentence. So I want to suggest that you reward your children. You want to reward them for things like honesty and generosity and kindness. And you want to teach them that it's okay to tell the truth. I can recall the story of, I don't know if we were home alone and my parents were in another part of the house, and for some reason, unbeknownst to myself, I decided to write my ABCs along the bottom of the wall. And Dad came, "Who did this?" We have 4 brothers and sisters. So it's me and we line this all up. "Who did it?" And don't nobody know nothing, anybody saying nothing, because you know what's going to come is discipline. And the discipline is not going to be something that you're going to enjoy. So, long story short, I was the oldest, and he decided he wanted to do a writing test. So, I was a deceptive kid, kind of smart. So I wrote in manuscript on the bottom of the wall that I decided to write in cursive for the writing test. So he's comparing these writers. We all write. He's comparing it, trying to see who wrote it. I can't remember who got the whooping for that. It wasn't me. So I want to encourage you to reward your kids for honesty. Amen. So being truthful is always the best policy. When you tell a lie, you have to remember what your lie was. And it gets tiring. And you get your lie, now you're caught up in the lie. And going down that whole ratchet. You want to teach your children to be honest. And I know some of the kids are like, well, I'm not going to be a snitch. I know I probably lost some of the older people with this, but even in the street code is directly in violation of God's code, being honest. Even if you saw something and you don't want to tell, even say that. Yeah, I've seen it, but those folks, they do stuff to people who tell, so I'm not going to tell. But don't just say, I don't know nothing. You want to be honest. You want to be like, yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to protect me if I come forward against these guys. So they say snitches get stitches. And even if the people go to jail, they got people on the outside, they can get to you. So you just want to operate with honesty. You also want to teach your kids about grace. What is grace? Grace gets you what you can never earn. And mercy keeps you from what you already deserve. You deserve to reap some consequences from some things you've done, but thank God for His mercy. We don't have to go through some of these things that we deserve to go through. Amen. Mom, this is you want to teach your kids to be nice. That's very simple. You don't. It's not very hard, but it's rare that you see you go to work, people walking down with their head down, they don't speak to you. You go to school, kids, they're in their little cliques, and they don't go outside of their comfort zone to speak to somebody, to do a kind deed for someone. It's just rare. I can recall it was pouring down. It started raining out of nowhere at work, and I had this umbrella. These 2 ladies were just trapped. And they were just waiting for the rain to die down. This rain is not dying down. So, I walked in I wasn't going that way, so I'm like, okay. So on my way out, they're still standing there. They're like 10, 15 minutes. I'm like, y'all, you guys want to walk under my umbrella? And they were so appreciative to that. And they probably the highlight of their day. Teach your children the danger of foolish behavior. You know, you can do something in an instance and cause a lifetime of damage. You want to teach them the danger of foolish friends. I had a teacher in school, and she told me, "Show me your friends, I'll show you your future." And as I look back, she was right 100%. As though once I started to change my friends, my future started to change. I got outside of that environment, and they're still in the same place doing the same things, and it's like, okay, thank God that I had people around me to tell me certain sayings like this. And very simply, talk to your kids. You know, you got to feed them. You might as well talk to them. You know, you sit down at the dinner table, talk to them. Bring up certain topics that they won't typically discuss at school. If you want to reward humility, you want to reward your kids when they display certain characteristics such as humility and honesty. Teach your kids that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And in order to teach them that, you have to have a relationship with God. So you need to strengthen your relationship before you begin to preach how important the relationship with God is. You want to give God a reverence. Reverence means that you understand that God is in charge. Oftentimes you want to be in charge and you control everything, you control this and control that. God is in charge of everything. There's nothing that we do that God hasn't already seen. You want to put God first. You want to put God before your husband. You want to put God before your significant other. Amen? Moms, you want to grow in Christ. Each and every day you should be learning something that gets you closer and strengthening and building your relationship with Christ. Oftentimes, children have bad experiences with church. They were in a church and somebody told them something that wasn't true. Or they seen the preacher or pastor saying one thing and they see him in the street doing something else. And then they say, "Oh, I'm not going to make my kid go to church because of this or that." You want to take that as a learning experience. You want to say, yeah, they messed up, but that's because they had a religious outlook on things opposed to a relationship with God. I want to say you should insist on church. You should insist on church because you insist on school. Sometimes you say, "Oh, I'm not going to make them go to church," but you make them go to school. Why do you hold school to a higher regard than church? And it's like, school, yeah, you go to school, you're going to have some blessings on this earth, but you take your child to church, they're going to have eternal blessings, everlasting blessings. So you should insist on bringing your children to church. You should give them the option. If they're living under your roof, it shouldn't be, "Well, do you want to go? Are you going to go today?" You know, you should insist on bringing your children to church. Moms, you are here by grace. It's by the grace of God that you are even still here. Because there's so many ways the devil tries to attack mothers, whether it's single mothers, married mothers, grandmothers acting as mothers. You are definitely here by the grace of God. And for that reason, you shouldn't give up on your kids. There are some kids, like I said, they are mannerless. And they are probably sinning right now if they're not here. And they become seeing entrepreneurs. So, but you don't want to give up on your kids, because if you be honest with yourself, you're here because somebody didn't give up on you. I think enabling kids is child abuse. And I have countless stories from my grandmother to my mother who enabled my aunts, aunties, brothers and sisters. When you enable a child, you don't allow them to grow. You don't allow them to experience certain things. And you have to instill in them that it's more important about who they are on the inside opposed to what they are on the outside. Yeah, you give them Gucci, you give them Jordan, you give them Prada, you dress them with all this stuff. But you want to allow them to work for certain things. You want to allow them to know what it means to accomplish, to buy their own car, to pay for their own cell phone bills, small things like that. I'm going to close with these last 2 points. You want to pray over your children first. Prayer is so important. And, if it weren't for my grandmother praying and my mother and people praying for me, God knows what and where I would be. You want to pray until something happens. You want to push. And this is a reoccurring thing that I say this often. Pray until something happens, if you will. And it goes back to my mother would say, yeah, I trained up my child the way he should go, and he old and he's still not doing right. But it's inside of him. It's in him, and he knows. And once he or she decides to get their life together, it's going to be in them, and they're going to know the steps to take. Moms, very simply, I want to say, you have what it takes to make the difference in this generation. It's nothing. People, young boys hold their moms to such high regard and listen to the things that their moms. Dads are important, don't get me wrong. It's vital to have dads. But it's something about hearing it from your mom. And when you are put with the word, this generation desperately needs moms to train their children. And